We are glad that you are still tuned to Good Morning Kenya this beautiful Monday morning. Right now we get straight into Family Check, and our topic of conversation today is on parenting teenagers. And joining me to just expound on this topic, I have with me on my immediate right is Pastor Samuel Mangi, and on my far right is Pastor Collins Oyamo. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
How are you doing this morning?
Are we good?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, let's get straight into it. When we talk about parenting teenagers, what are we looking at? How different is it from parenting a younger child, you know, to parenting a teenager? Yeah, if we may begin with you.
Thank you. In the context that we are discussing about and in the current situation in our country and in the world, you will bear witness with me that teenagers of this generation has a little bit of challenge, or they are challenged when it comes to how to handle them. And as a parent or as parents, we need to be deliberate and to have some wisdom or knowledge on how to train them or to bring them up so that they can be able to develop strong minds to overcome the pressures of the world. And therefore, we will be discussing on how to aid the parents to understand the teenagers, as well as how the teenagers should understand their parents so that they can be able to synchronize well and live in a way which is harmonious.
I think from your question, what we're discussing is how to handle individuals who are just about to get into adulthood. It's so different compared to toddlers or children whom you basically have to instruct in every aspect of their lives.
So you cannot use the same style that you were using before they got to teenagehood.
No. What I think and what I believe is that the early stages in life, the training that you take them through while they're young prepares them for their teenage life. That's what I believe. It's like planting a seed and then harvesting when the time comes. Because if you missed that, then you probably would have a challenge with their teenage life. Yes.
What mistakes maybe do you think, parents make, when it comes to parenting teenagers?
To start with, when for you to have a teenager who is strong in mind, or to have a teenager who is admirable, or a teenager whom a parent would be proud of, first and foremost, you must know that the background or the foundation must be solid. When you read the scripture in the book of Proverbs 22, verse 6, the Bible says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he grow up, he will never depart from it. And therefore, one of the blunders that maybe a parent or parents do is to ignore or to mess in their upbringing when they are young, taking care of children or bringing up the children in the way they should go. I think when you mess up in their early age, then you will have a challenge in their teenage.
So one of the challenges that I think parents undergo is missing the opportunity.
Yes.
Sometimes they want to come to the teenager a little too late, and the water has gone under the bridge. So it's very difficult to manage a child who you've not been, behind their lives. You've not seen them to do their homeworks. You've not been with them to sports. You've not seen them. You don't even know who their friends are. So I think, basically, in my opinion, parents, when they miss out in the developmental stages of their children, they come to find it difficult in the latter stage, trying to, help them or manage or prepare them for adulthood. Yes.
And this starts right from the early ages of children.
Conception.
Not only, right from the conception. because what is happening with parenting nowadays, and that's why we have a challenge with our teenagers, we have to acknowledge that. Because I personally deal with the youths, and most of the challenges that I'm getting in my office is of teenagers who have defied their parents, and they have started misbehaving, and the parents are having stress on how to direct them. Now, we have to acknowledge that the problem starts from the early age, the conception age. We know we must be able to deliberately bring them up. Because when we mess up being deliberate in bringing up our children, then when they grow up, we will have a challenge, like the pastor is saying, that you cannot come to the lives, or you want now to be deliberate when a child is up. You must first of all have a touch with that child when he is young or when she is young, so that you can be able to follow up even when he comes to the age of teenager. For instance, as parents, we have absconded, let me say that, the duty of bringing up our children because of the busyness that we have. We are too busy to be with our children. Even not only the male, the fathers of the children, or even the mothers nowadays, they have absconded that responsibility, and they have messed up by leaving the children to their maids or their house managers, or they are taking the children to what are they
daycares.
called? The daycares. And that is messing up the development, even not only the physical development, but also the psychological development of children.
But then again, what happens when the parent is busy? I mean, they're out here looking for money to be able to cater for this child, you know, financially and all. So what happens when you're busy? How do you create time to do all that?
Now,
you can turn a bit. Your camera is number 4, so
yes,
just a bit.
I was so engrossed in the discussion.
No problem.
I think from what he's saying, the parent must be deliberate. It means the parent must, in his timetable or in his budget of time, ensure that the baby has some time allotted to it. Because if you fail to do so, it doesn't matter how busy you are. You can't chase the dollar or the shilling at the expense of your child. I mean, why get the dollar and lose the baby? So what was the whole essence? I think as parents, we have to be deliberate, and we have to create time for our children. I don't think there's any treasure out there too valuable at the expense of your child. So that has to be given, has to be deliberate. We know the economic state is not good and stuff, but a parent must just be deliberate. And in so doing, the parent must set a stage for being an example to the baby. Because you see, like he said, we have handed over our children to the television sets, we have handed over our children to internet, Cocomelon and all those things. We've handed out our children to daycare and stuff. But now, where is the place of the role model? Who is the child to model? Who is the child to copy and learn from? And I think, as you're asking, the most important thing what a parent must do is to budget time for their children.
Yeah, be intentional about it.
Being intentional, because let me say this, being intentional to bring up your child also will be able to help you to have even good health in future. Let me testify that most of the cases that I handle is of parents who are stressed up because of their children. They missed the point in bringing their children. Now their children are grown. And you know, when we are young, this way we are learning here and there, looking for money, getting the dollar and the gold and what have you, and now we have it. But now what, in the later age, when now we have matured, everything is cooled down, what we want is to see our parents, our children are happy to enjoy their company, and then that child, because of their bringing, has turned to be a mess. in the country or even in your life, then you start having high blood pressure and what have you. So we must be deliberate for us to have a wonderful life, so that we can avoid that mess when we grow up, that we are old, now we want to enjoy life, but our children, because we did not take care of them, they have started messing up with us. And then we are having high blood pressures every time we are crying about our children. You know, that child you left to the maid, that child you left to daycare. And it is so unfortunate that these days people have become evil. How many clips have we seen of maids beating up children and messing up with them? Recently, I was telling Pastor that I was called by one of my friends that her child, she took her child to a daycare, and it's like the health has deteriorated, and what they are guessing is that the child had been given sleeping pills. Pastor was telling me others give even alcohol so that the child can sleep and stop disturbing. Now, when you mess up, we are discussing about teenage upbringing. When you mess up in this early age, the foundation of it, be sure that even when that child reaches at the age of teenager, now when you want to see the fruits, you will not see them. Because they have been messed up at early age. So we must be deliberate on bringing up our children. We must not take our works or our jobs in the expense of bringing up our children. Actually, some advice, parental advice, is that you can take some lighter jobs as a mother or as a father, so that you can have inadequate time to train your child, or to be with your child as he grows up in the early stage, because that is the only way that we can be able to sustain that child to become a strong teenager in future. Because let me say this, we are having weak-minded teenagers. We don't have strong-minded teenagers these days, and that's why you hear cases of suicide, cases of giving up with life, cases of drug addiction is so rampant and so much in the country.
I wouldn't want to really blame the teenager, because of course when we look at their development and where they are, these are mini adults, for lack of a good word. They are people dealing with hormonal, imbalances and changes. They're dealing with self-esteem issues, seeing that their body structures are changing. Yesterday they were speaking in some shrill voice. Today it's a bass. They are confused at what's happening. We have internet influence all over. We have peer pressure, and of course this has to affect the young person. The other thing that we probably need to focus on as parents is, how do we handle this wreck? How do we handle this confusion that's happening in this young man? And therefore, I believe that parents should actually prepare for that day. If you have a toddler today, just prepare, that someday in the future, I'm going to deal with a teenager. Prepare them by, being an example to them. Prepare by being deliberate in their lives to train and to guide and to lead, because that's what will help them even navigate properly, the teenage, era where they will be having, a bit of challenge or something.
And maybe what strategies should a parent use when, or rather to bring up conversations that are difficult? Conversations of things like sex, drugs. How does a parent go about that? What strategies do they use? And when exactly should you start talking about these very difficult conversations or topics?
I would go first, and I would say this, that the conversations that seem difficult, especially in the African setting, because some of these are taboo subjects in our home states. We don't talk about sex. But I think that as a parent, you would be, for lack of a good word, so foolish not to accept the fact that the information is already with the child. No, with the child. Because today, from a very tender age, 8, 7, they already have this, you'll see them shying off from the opposite sex, because they have a clue. And another thing, in the information era, kids are getting this all over. It's on the net, it's in school, the other kids are talking about it, so they know about it. In fact, in the West, you understand that they are sexually active from a very tender age. Now, as a parent living in a postmodern era, I would advise that it's not time to wrap things in cover. It's time to unfurl and talk about it. To just come straight on and talk about it. It will be best for you to be the source of information as a parent than for the child to get it elsewhere.
That's
the era of telling children that babies are born or babies are bought from a shop or picked in a supermarket is long gone. Today they would tell you, I have a small boy, and he would probably be understanding this stuff because he watches a lot of these scientific programs, and I'm pretty sure that the boy is adapt to what's happening and he understands. When the time comes, I sit him down and tell him, man, this is how it operates and this is how babies are brought forth. So sex and all these topics like drugs and all that should be a subject that parents are ready to share with the little one as early as the child seems to have some information. Because any later than that, you will be at sea.
Pastor Mwangi, when do you feel is the right time, and how do you start up this, or how do you start speaking about these conversations?
Now, first and foremost, we must go back to what we said, the basics. You must make this child a friend to you. That even when you are discussing these matters, you have been able to be together, or you have a link with one another. Because it is so sorry to say that some of the parents, they don't have links with their children. And that's why it is difficult to come and introduce some topics, some kinds of topic. First and foremost, the parents must be deliberate to have links with their children, to be friends to their children, because we have come out of the era where we were afraid of our parents. When your dad, during our upbringing, those years, even though I'm not young, I'm young, I'm not old. Sometimes you hear that your dad is coming, and then you stop everything you are doing, and then you are like fearing, or you humble yourself. No, we need to have that relationship with our children, to have. Let them be our friends. Let them be our friends, so that when you are introducing these topics and these topics which are sensitive, that you will be able to flow smoothly. And the time to start this off is as soon as the child starts knowing the things, or the way Pastor is saying, understanding things that are happening. Because you will come to understand, even a child of 5 years have started thinking about, why is mommy having this kind of shape? Why is daddy not having this kind of shape? I don't want to say something, but my son recently asked me of a question. I was like, hey, 4 years old boy is asking me a question. Why are you as and mamas is different? You know, I don't know where he got the idea, but 5 years, 4 to 5 years, at this moment, he has started getting the changes between a female and a male. So the right time to speak to our children is it's right immediately after they have started understanding things. We need to get into them and tell them this is the way, so that they will not have to get information from outside.
Foster communication. Create that space where the family can talk about this. Some people, it's the dinner table. Others, it's early in the morning or in the evening when they're back from work and stuff. But there has to be an environment where people can speak freely. When a child, for example, comes up with a strange word that shocks you as a parent, don't beat the child up. Maybe you need to find out from whence cometh the word. And after you get the word, after you get the source rather, then you would be able to help the child navigate through that phase. Because trust me, they know all these things. You just need to, it's the parent who has a problem. Maybe the parent needs parenting.
All right. Now, is there a difference with you bringing up a boy child and a girl child? Like when we're talking about teenagers, do you have different styles in raising up a girl and a boy?
In my opinion, all children are equal. I know that there's this overemphasis on one gender and on the over the other. But in my opinion, if I'm a father of a daughter or a father of a son, I'll raise him up the same way. Because truth is that they're coming to face the same world. There's no world for a girl child and a world for a boy child. And currently, you understand that the state of life, as it is today, many of the younger people are having challenges because of having been preferred over another gender. So I would say there would be differences, of course, in how you relate to them and how you prepare them for life, but you must not raise them any different. You must raise them as your children, of course, with their uniqueness, but they are the same. I believe that a boy child and a girl child still remains to be a child.
But I want to deviate a little bit from what Pastor is saying, because what we are observing in the world today, the boy child is more challenged than the girl child. I think it's because of the emphasis that were being made about the girl child there before. But right now we need to be deliberate about the boy child. Why? We will realize that most of the time, those the parent that is usually concerned so much with their children is the mother. And the mother will train up the girls, and sorry to say that the girl will be able to grasp or to get how the mothers should be. And therefore, they don't have a lot of challenge. But what about the boy child? The fathers are not there. There is no one, most of the time we get that the mother is taking care of even the boy child. So there is no an example, because the father comes in the morning, in the night when the children are asleep, and then he leaves in the morning before even seeing the child. There is no time of parenting the way we say deliberate parenting, and that's why we are having a lot of challenges, especially with the boy child. Most of the cases that are brought in my office in regards to the teenagers who are giving stress to their parents is the boy child, because they don't have that close touch with their fathers. They only have the touch with their mothers, and maybe there are some aspects of life that a boy child must know or must learn from the father. That's why we said you must be an example to your child. You must coach your child. Pastor have that curriculum, and he is a champion of coaching a child. As a boy child, he must be coached, and therefore. And
even when you say that, I also understand we cannot, assume that every child has a father. There are kids who are brought up in single homes, so probably they just have their mother, as a single mother. So what you're saying is, you intentionally also look for a model for this child. Either an uncle, a pastor, just someone, that is a male figure as well.
A coach.
Yeah.
I think Pastor can speak about coaching.
Yes. I believe parenting is coaching. Yeah, it's nothing to do with siring a child and providing basic needs. The government can
upbringing, do that. Not upbringing.
The government can provide. But it's about being intentional in the life of the child, deliberate, and preparing this particular individual for a future. And so some of the soft skills that are slowly and quickly dissipating is because there is no one to show them. No one is there to teach the boy child today to open doors for the girl child. I see you smiling. Nobody is there to teach them how to shake hands and look people in the eye and say good morning. Nobody is there to even tell them how to. You read some of the application letters that I have received in my office, and I look at it and, what is this? University students can't even, express themselves. And it's because I feel there's a gap. We do not have models for our kids. And the parent must be intentional in this, to model the child, to coach the child, to take the child through basic steps, to prepare them to be functional adults when that time comes. And yes, you brought the point of single parents and children raised in single homes.
Households.
I would say this, that it will be best for the parent that has the child to find a male figure. I would say, I use this line, though it may be a little rude, but it takes a man to raise a man. Yeah, because it's a man who will show the ropes how to be a man. And so if, for example, the child lives with the mother, then the mother must be deliberate in looking and sourcing for that male figure that's going to be in the life of this child to help the child not in any way related to the mother, but can be a pastor, as you said, can be some coach, can be, you know, whoever, an uncle that will help the boy navigate, you know, the issues of men to prepare them to adulthood.
Okay. You had talked about the issue of, or rather, you had talked about parents also ensuring that they are friends to their children. Yes. You know, in the generation we're living in right now, in the space we're in right now, you cannot withhold information. You need to be friends to your child and all. But where do you draw the line whereby you also instill discipline and don't come off as too harsh? Okay. In that now your child doesn't see you as, you know, dad is no longer my friend because, you know, he's being too harsh. So how do you instill discipline to your child without coming off as too harsh and maintaining that friendship whereby they can come to you and tell you anything?
Okay, towards this, it's very good because the Bible also admonishes that spare the Lord and spoil the child. And it doesn't mean that when you use discipline, you are not a friend to the child. When we speak about friendship, is that you are there in the life of that child, that you have links, that the child is growing up with a friend. And most of the time, as children, sometimes they err. And even when you are instilling discipline, there must be an understanding with one another. For example, for instance, the way we were brought up. Our mother used to discipline us, and it is not that lightly. But before she disciplined us, we would have a conversation. Now, you were told to take care of the githeri, and you went to pray, and githeri kaungua. So you have accepted that you made a mistake. So he would take a whip and then whip us, but with an understanding. I understand it is not through. She did not do it out of anger or anything, but she did it with love, correcting. And most of the statement she used to use is that I'm not beating you, I'm beating the mistake in you.
But you know, nowadays, beating children is kind of like not illegal. Advised.
Yes. But let me say this, it will depend which age. I'm not for or against the cane. I'm not for or against the cane. But what I would say is that at point we must discipline our children. Once we don't do that, then we are raising a generation that will have a problem. Because for a child to understand a mistake, there must be that understanding that there is consequences of committing a mistake. And when we leave it to the world, when we don't discipline them, we will have chaos. Pastor can speak in the West what is happening, that teenagers have gone out of control, that they can do anything because they were not taught there is what? Consequences of sin. Therefore, let me say this, it would be very deliberate that even if you are creating friendship with this child, there is the drawing of line. If you make a mistake, there is a consequence. And first of all, you must start it at the younger age, because you can't start it when they start understanding or when they are big enough. Actually, we advocate for ages 0 to 3, caning might not be effectual. But discipline from 3 to age 9, it is okay, because that's where now the child is developing and knowing what is right and what is wrong. But now from age 10, especially from 10, now to the teenage, it is a stage that you don't discipline physically with caning or kuchuna or something like that, but talking to that child. Because sometimes, let me say, that talking to a child who is 9 to 12, or at 9 and above, talking to her or him and telling him this is wrong and this is what you have done, it will be a discipline enough for that child to change his acts. But imagine talking to a child of 4 to 9 years. Caning, I think, for me, it will work better than...
I don't know what you think about that, Pastor Collins. Are you for or against the cane?
I'm against the caning, yeah, because having been raised and being given strokes. I know the torture. It's torturous. I wouldn't, though myself, I would not spare. So I'm against, but I wouldn't spare. I don't know where you would place me. A parent, in my opinion, must be that one person. When a child makes a mistake, the child can run to him or her and say, Daddy or Mommy, I made this mistake. We do not punish children for making mistakes. Myself, I punish the child for disobedience. People make mistakes. I can break a glass. My wife can break a glass. And the child can also break a glass. We do not punish the child for breaking a glass. But we could punish the child for don't break a glass, and then they pick it and throw it down. Now that's where punishment comes in. And it varies. It's from withdrawing their toys, giving away their toys, sending them to their room and locking them up for a while, denying them a birthday party and stuff like that, to help them understand that there are consequences for disobedience. For me, the main focus is, can I train up or raise up an obedient child? Punishment would be for disobedience. But mistakes, we can work and we can correct and we can learn as we progress. That would be my take.
How do you go about giving them independence in a way where you're also raising up children who are sort of independent? You're raising up children who will be, later grow up to become, independent adults. How do you look into that deliberately?
So what I'm doing, for example, with my child, I'm allowing them to get into the space where they can make decisions for themselves. For example, when we go to a restaurant, I give him the menu to make a decision on what he's going to eat. So sometimes he chooses things because they look fancy and the names are interesting, and he has to bear with the consequences of what he chose. Because if I'm paying that for that, then you better eat it because you chose it, not me. And of course, he's quickly learning that he has some room to wriggle and to make decisions and make choices for himself. The sooner we can teach our children how to make choices, the better for us as parents. We will not be with them in high school as teenagers when they're making those decisions as to whether to smoke or not to smoke. But if you can lay these foundations and prepare the child so that when they go, you tell them that for every action, there is always a consequence, and these are the consequences for bad choices. And the child will be able to, to a large extent, navigate themselves. But as I said it, you must be that one person whenever the child is in a fix or in a corner or has to make a decision, can always come back to you for reference. You may not be audibly there to say, but they must have studied you as a parent and will be able to say that, I know if my dad was in this situation, this would have been the choice he would have made in regards to this particular, circumstance.
In the same line, what I would say is that we have come out of the era of telling our children don't, because they rebel with the statements of don't. And yesterday we were in a drug awareness walk, and one of the instructors, we were having a chat, and we discussed and said the only way that now we will help our teenagers, because we are discussing about our teenagers now coming back to the teenagers, is that we tell them why, so that they will be able, even if we are setting them free and you're giving them the freedom of choice, they have known the consequences of going against what you have told them. So for you to give them that freedom of choice, first and foremost, you must make sure that the foundation is laid well. You have instructed them that when you go this way, this is the consequences. Why are we telling you not to do this? Why are we telling you to come early in the house? Why are we telling you to avoid such kind of association or company? It is because of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we must come out of the era which we were brought up in, that we were told don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. But now we go why should I not? Why should I? Why should I? We should change. And the parenting, or especially of teenagers nowadays, they are reasoning. They are asking themselves, why am I being told not to do this? Not that they are taking what we are telling them immediately. So I think we need to also change the tactic of parenting so that we can be free to give them the freedom of choice. For instance, I remember when, because of the way our parents, I'm not boasting or praising them, but I'm just acknowledging, we were brought up in a way in the church, and the way we behaved when we were over with our class 8 exams, we passed, and I remember my dad did not have enough finances to take us to a boarding school, although I was called in a good boarding school. So there was a good institution which was far from home, but and it was performing well, and my dad said, no, you will go and start there. And then we didn't have any relatives around that place. It's a day school, and it is a high school. So he said, no, we will go look for a house just near the school. Then you will be commuting from the house to school. And then some of our relatives said, hey, you are releasing these kids very early. They will get spoiled. And my dad said, no, I know my children. I know my children. They can behave themselves. And we lived well. We finished our school. No cases which were found, because we were brought up in a way that our parents were confident that even if they go to the world, they are strong and they have good self-esteem, that they can lead themselves and behave well. Therefore, what I want to mean is that when you put the background well, and when the foundation is strong, then you can be able to be peaceful even as you are giving them the freedom of choice.
As we get to wind up with this conversation, you know, in line with what you were saying, maybe what life skills do you feel a teenager should learn before leaving the home? You know, a teenager goes up to age 19. So before they get into their 20s, what life skills do you feel is important for them to have learned? I
think as I mentioned, the soft skills, you know, being able to express themselves, that to me is very key, because today we don't know what they are talking about. You can't even understand them. So if a young person getting into adulthood is able to express themselves well, then that's a plus. Number two, my opinion, they should be able to take care of themselves. You know, they should be young people who are able to put parameters around themselves and to know that this works for me, this doesn't work for me. So, and this takes training to show them their worth and to show them that they are people of, you know, recognition, people of importance. You know, they are able to be something in the society. And that prepares the child to navigate life and all that. So just the basic skills of taking care of themselves, taking care of you know, those that are around them, being kind to other people, and, you know, ensuring that everyone is safe around themselves, making decisions also corporately, thinking about others as they make decisions, so that the young man or young woman is not self-centered to be all about themselves and not about other people. I think the basics, you know, of life. Yeah, we who were born in the yesteryears, I'm not as old as he is, maybe I'm old.
No, you are.
We who were born in the yesteryears can testify that we had the community to parent us. You know, the child, raising up a child was not a family affair. It was a communal affair. So today we do not have that. That fabric is gone. The family is also getting, you know, torn into pieces. So, like we say, deliberate. The father, the mother must be deliberate. I want to raise a son who's able to express themselves, you know, to stand and talk for themselves or for other people, and also express that which they desire, that the world may hear. That is very fundamental for me to prepare, because whatever else the school will do, but these soft skills that prepare them for life is fundamental.
Okay, our time is up. I'm being told we have to wind up with this conversation. So thank you so much for shedding light on this. I believe that those watching have gotten to pick a thing or two from this discussion that was parenting of our teenagers. Thank you so much, Pastor Samuel Mwangi and Pastor Collins Oyamo. Don't go too far, because Good Morning Kenya will be continuing shortly.